Hello, and welcome to So You Think You Can Rule Persia, the podcast where we rate and review all the rulers of Persia, from Diocles to Mohammad Reza Pahlavi. I am Sariel, and my pronouns are they, them.
And I'm Umberto, and my pronouns are he, him.
And we're here for the Season 2 Electric Boogaloo of this podcast. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Sorry for breaking everyone's eardrums. I'm sure Umberto will fix this in post.
Yeah, I'll fix it in post. It's easy to fix things in post. But yeah, we're back at last.
Have you missed us?
We've decided
We're back.
that, yes. It's been so many months since we last had an episode. It's the new year. It's 2026. Hooray. The new world has arrived.
In the future.
And we are from the past talking to the future.
The future is now.
Yes, so we're back, and as announced a few times, we are continuing our streak. We did Diocles to Yazdegerd III. This is for new people as well. We've done all the rulers of Persia from Diocles to Yazdegerd III. We've ranked them. We've chosen which our favorite is out of all of them.
People were mad about it.
Our top ones. That was fine, cool. And now we've decided that we're going to do the history of Islamic Iran as well. So we stopped off in the year 650 when Iran finally fell to the Rashidun Caliphate. Mm-hmm. And now we're saying, okay, well, what happened next? Clearly, people kept living there, so what's going on?
Yes, this area of the Earth has not been, magically taken out of existence, out of the universe. There's not a hole in the planet, so,
Exactly. So we're going to make it all the way to the last Shah of Iran, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, who was deposed in 1979.
So like yesterday.
We're getting into living memory. Yes, exactly. So that will be wild. We will have done about 2,500 years of history by then.
I'm so excited.
And it's also kind of wild and kind of fun, because those of you that know, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi made a big deal about his relationship to Cyrus and connecting to the Persian past.
So many years later.
So it'll be fun to sort of reminisce once we get there, apart from all the non-fun bits, but hey.
It's the history of the ruling class, so there's gonna, we can't have nice things, I guess.
Yeah. But we'll get to meet a bunch of exciting new people, and it'll be fun. It'll be good. As always, we will have extra characters on our Patreon if you want to join, and it will be up again by the time you're listening to this. We will be having new episodes for January that people have chosen, and we'll just move on from there. It'll be a fun time.
Exciting.
Okay, so Sariel,
yes.
Today's episode is episode 93, Uthman ibn Affan.
Sure. I feel like with a lot of these episodes, I'm gonna need a written transcript. Not like I didn't need it for the previous ones. My audio processing is really bad. But, new names that I haven't heard, which is so nice.
Yes, because in a whole new language.
We've been using the same 4 names for the past season.
So now will be a bunch of new people. They'll have a lot of new names. It'll be exciting, cool stuff. So, Sariel, to start in this new series, I need to ask you, how confident do you feel in your knowledge of Islam? How much do you know?
Not much. I do not know that much about religion in general. I have a slight knowledge of most things, but none of it goes very deep. I know that is one of the religions of the, belonging to the same multi-universe of Christianity and Judaism, the same...
That's right.
The same cinematic universe as these.
Yes, like Christianity is Judaism DLC.
Yes.
Islam is Christianity DLC.
Yes.
Where it's like, we have this guy, but also a new person.
Yes. They're all connected, they all share stories. I know that it's also monotheistic, essentially with the same-ish god as Judaism and Christianity. That it follows the Prophet Muhammad.
Yes.
And I know some customs, some rules. For example, you're not supposed to depict the Prophet in images. So this leads to a lot of the art created by and for Islam to be really beautiful and ornate calligraphy, for example, and geometry and other.
But also, it should be noted on that topic that images themselves are more or less allowed depending on what branch you subscribe to. Like, images in places of worship aren't there.
I see.
But I will be showing you a picture of the Prophet Muhammad from the 17th century at the end of this, because it's part of the thing.
Interesting.
His face is covered. But
oh,
still,
I see. Yeah, okay.
there's
Yeah,
things.
I see.
Yeah.
Interesting. See, I was on the right track, but like I'm no expert.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, well, so let's get into it. Let's find out what this new world is and where does Islam come from and who are these people? Why are they in charge now?
Let's do it.
So I'm going to give you a general overview to start with,
Yes.
but also our first 2-3 protagonists are going to be deeply involved with the Prophet and the rise of Islam, so that will give us a view of how things are happening, so that's quite nice. So from season 1, you'll remember that Arabia had long been on the border between the Sassanid and Roman empires. So each of them had small vassal kings on the border, they sent them to fight each other. They didn't pay too much attention. There was some raids, some wars that were fought, but nothing incredible. And the Sassanids even took over Yemen during the reign of Khosrow I. So that's the furthest we've entered. And one of the things that we heard during the final civil war of the Sassanid Empire was that we'd lost communication from Yemen. Hope that's not serious. So Arabia was not a unified entity at the time. It was mostly a region with roughly similar language and cultural kinship. Imagine medieval Spain, where you have Aragon, Castilla, Leon, Galicia,
all the kingdoms,
and all these different people. They're in the similar vibe. They have their own individual characteristics, but
of course, yeah,
they're just living on.
If anything, just because of all of the geographic proximity and the travel between these kingdoms, you get people who are, part of all of these cultures, and it bleeds into places. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, they have similar customs. And so a lot of these people were tribal nomads, where a tribe represented a very large group that claimed descendants from a common ancestors, and sometimes they had a big trading city that they gravitated around. Because a lot of trade that goes through the Indian Ocean passes through Arabia because, well, it's convenient. It's easier to go through this overland route as opposed to risking sea travel on other times, going into the Red Sea. Maybe it's a lot longer. This way, people have better access, and sometimes you have oasis towns, which are stop-offs for these trade caravans, and different tribes have different cities they refer to. And one of these tribes, which is very important, is called the Quraysh. And they are based around a city you may have heard of, which is called the city of Mecca.
Ah, yeah, that rings a bell.
This will be important.
Yes.
This will be on the test. And the city of Mecca is a holy city for a bunch of people in the region because it houses the idols of many gods from the pre-Islamic polytheistic people there. And it was a prominent trading city for goods coming from the Indian Ocean to the settled empires of Rome and Iran. However, though I did mention a bunch of polytheistic people, there were still significant groups of Christians and Jews, the latter especially in Yemen. So, they are in contact with the Sassanids and the Romans, so those traditions are passed on and are permeable through these people. So you have many Christian Arabs, especially the ones that are vassals to the Romans, and you have many Jewish Arabs who are living in the area. So there is a broad Abrahamic vibe going on here.
A broad Abrahamic vibe, sure.
Yes, that's how the scholars call it.
Yeah.
So it happened then, Cyril, that in 570, a man called Muhammad was born to a family of the Quraysh. And he was originally a trader by profession. But then, in about 610, when he was in his 40s, he received a divine revelation and began reciting the literal word of God, which would eventually become the Quran.
Wow. Was it being airdropped to his brain, like in an audiobook, or like...
Basically, yes. So essentially, the
I
interesting
can't believe I
difference
just
between
said that. I'm so sorry.
That's sort of that. But the interesting difference between the Bible and the Quran is that the Bible is divinely inspired. So it's things that have happened and God has inspired the writing of it. The Quran is literally the word of God dictated
Wow.
syllable by syllable, via the Prophet Muhammad.
God was like, okay, it seems like you guys are not getting the memo, so let me just tell you
Yes.
straight up, because you keep confusing things.
Yeah, which is also why it's a really big deal that you shouldn't translate the Arabic of the Quran, because
Oh, I
those are the
see.
exact words that God chose, and if God wanted to use a different language, God would have.
That's fair.
So this is going to be a whole big deal
Yep,
in
yep,
the future.
that's
but
fair.
Yeah, there we are.
I mean, I get it. You know, I also think that when you translate a book so many times as the Bible has been translated, you're gonna lose some of that meaning in translation. And also, people, like, cultures change, so
Yeah, I mean, that's why the church has, the Catholic Church used Latin for a long time. 'Cause it's
Yeah.
like, well, the church fathers wrote it this way, so presumably this is the closest we can get to it. We don't want to lose meaning.
Yep.
And with the Quran, it's a similar vibe, but it's a lot more strict because this is the literal word of God.
Yeah, okay. I see.
So yeah.
I understand.
So in the following years, Muhammad would begin preaching and gathering followers, but this started to make him some enemies because he's challenging the traditional religions of Mecca, and the people there are getting more and more hostile to him.
People don't like change.
Yeah. So in 622, also known as Year 1 Anno Hejre,
I wonder if that's relevant.
yes, there came an event called the Hejra, which is the start of the Islamic calendar and was the migration of Muhammad and his community from the city of Mecca to a little-known nearby city called Medina, which would host the Prophet and his followers and support the new religion at the heart of a new state.
Yeah.
In later years, the Muslim community would then expand to take control of most of Arabia. They would manage to fight their way to protect their beliefs and extend it. And they finally managed to get back to Mecca and reconquer the holy city in 630, defeating their main rivals. And then in 632, the Prophet eventually died himself, and a new stage would begin.
Yeah, you know, when whoever founded the thing is no longer around, and now you're like, okay, how is this gonna continue?
Because, Sarah, the problem here, the main challenge faced by the Islamic community was to decide what would happen now that the Prophet is dead.
Yeah.
And he'd very clearly announced that he was the last prophet. There's no one after him. He is the final prophet.
We are done.
He is the seal of the prophets,
Yeah.
is how it's said. So we'll cover it more in detail next episode because the next guy is more directly involved in this. But what do you think the method of succession should be, Sarah? Like, who should succeed the prophet? Like, if you had to choose a figure in a new religion, who would you choose? What would your criterion be? Would you go by family ties? Would you go by the people who followed him most? Would you go by who's politically most effective?
This is
what
why
would your
I'm not
strategy
founding
be?
a religion anytime soon, you guys.
Yes.
I want to make it a meritocracy just because I feel that's fair. Like, if I make a club, right? I'm not gonna say a cult, but like, if I make a club of like anything, it can be, you know, just a cool role-playing club, like D&D, Dungeons and Dragons club that I make for friends to get together, and then like it outlifts me because it's so nice. It's helped so many people find new friends, and I'm like, okay, I'm moving to a different city. I can't keep, you know.
Who should succeed you? Yes.
Who
Is
should
it the
take the
person
reins?
who's been there since the start? Is it the person who's best at it? Is it the person
Probably
who's followed you and
someone-
supported you all this time?
Well,
who is it?
It would be someone who I think would be the best suited for the job. Whoever does a good job and has the time for it, you know?
Okay.
So whoever is best suited, I guess. Whoever is most capable of handling things how they need to be handled.
Yeah, fair enough. So they go through a similar task. Essentially, they look at who are the most worthy people.
Sure.
And there are big disagreements on who this should have been, more detail next episode, but they look at who should have succeeded, and they look at all the closest companions of Muhammad. There's a bunch of his early followers, the ones who had been with him from the start, who even when they were persecuted, even when things were difficult, they did not give up. They just continued helping him.
Oh, this sounds
and
like
they
drama
were with
to
the
me.
prophet.
Like, this sounds like drama to me.
There is so much drama.
This
yes.
is like, oh, but you weren't there for my worst, so you don't deserve my best. And then it's like, okay, you've been there from the very beginning, but also you are self-serving and don't know shit about like managing this new club that we have. So why should you deserve it more?
That is the triumph and tragedy of the first generation of Islam, because we need to figure out what do we do.
Oh no. I am glad I'm not involved. I don't want to do that.
In the end, the man chosen to succeed Muhammad was a man called Abu Bakr, who was one of the first followers of the Prophet, one of the first Muslim men. According to some traditions, he was the first Muslim man, but, depends on traditions.
Sure, that will give you some renown. You know? Give you some points.
But the problem is that not everybody agreed. So
of course.
Abu Bakr had his hands full during the first 2 years of his caliphate with the Ridda Wars, or the Wars of Unification, where it had to be defined what exactly this new state or Islam was going to be. Because can we be independent but still be Muslim? Do we all have to be one state?
Yeah. Like, is this a religion that we can ascribe to and then do our own thing, or is this gonna be like also a political thing?
Yeah, and also, is the caliph meant to just mediate between people, or is he more of an absolute ruler?
Yeah.
Because when the prophet was there, we followed the prophet because he was the prophet. But now that there's this new guy, I mean, he's holy and respectful and everything. But
he's not a king.
What is his authority? Exactly.
Yeah.
We need to figure all of this out. Also, at the same time, a bunch of people didn't get the memo that Muhammad was the last prophet, and were like, no, actually, I'm the last prophet.
Course.
Trust me.
I mean, they didn't get the memo, or they didn't want to get the memo. Like, wouldn't you also be like,
exactly.
actually, I can do that too? God spoke to me.
I don't know.
How would you know?
So Abu Bakr spent the first 2 years of his caliphate, which only lasted 2 years, conquering everybody and just getting everybody to agree, saying, no, there is one version of Islam. This is what we're doing. We're not breaking up with the Prophet, spent decades of his life building. This is what we're doing now. Okay? Everybody cool? Brilliant. Let's go.
Hometown, guys, it was already working. Stop. Don't mess it up. It was already fine.
Yes. And then, once things were stabilized, Abu Bakr eventually died and appointed a man called Umar as his successor.
Mm-hmm.
And Umar, again, another of the first people who converted to Islam.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it's interesting that this dynasty, the Rashidun Caliphate, which will make more sense later, all of these people, according to Sunni Muslim tradition, were promised paradise by the Prophet himself. The Prophet said, you are such great people that you are all going to heaven no matter what you do.
You helped me
because
so
I know
much
that you're
with
brilliant.
all of the logistics of this that I am actually giving you VIP access.
Exactly, very much so. So Umar is caliph now. He was a stern and austere man who gave most honors to those who had become Muslim first, and he appointed many important generals among these people. Because once the Ridda Wars had finished, they expanded into Syria and Mesopotamia, where the armies of the caliphate managed to first destroy the last Roman army at Yarmouk in Syria, and destroy the Sassanid army at Qadisiyah.
Yeah, this is so funny to me.
In the same year, in
Oh my
637.
This is so funny to me that the Sassanids and the Romans have been fighting each other for centuries, and now these guys are like, you're done. You guys, stop it. We don't care anymore.
Over.
Stop.
Yeah. So they've managed to just essentially, I mean, the Romans and the Sassanids have annihilated each other in this last war. They both came a hair from falling.
Yeah.
And now the caliphate is here to just give them a little push.
Yeah.
Because
they did this to themselves, really.
They're united by this purpose because God has spoken to them specifically. These people have all met the prophet. They know what the plan is. They're here to bring in a new age. And they're doing that quite effectively.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to deny these things when you've met the guy, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So this allowed for massive expansion both east and west. In the west, Egypt, Syria, and Palestine all fell to the caliphate. Palestine, most importantly, with the sacred city of Jerusalem, was part of the caliphate. Umar himself went to take the surrender of the city of Jerusalem and honored the local population, the local Christians, and made sure that they would not be harmed and they'd be properly taken care of because the city is surrendered willingly.
Yeah.
And in Islam, you should respect the people of the book, which is the Jews and Christians, because
they were literally
they believe in your same God. Yeah. It's just they haven't received the update yet, but they'll get to it.
Exactly.
That's the vibe.
Yeah, it would be wild if Christians and Jews and Muslims started fighting each other. Because, like, don't you all, you have some differences, but don't you all come from the same God? Don't you all worship the same guy?
Yeah.
Shouldn't this unite you? I don't,
Yeah. It would be nice, wouldn't it? But yeah, in the east, instead, they managed to conquer most of the Sassanid Empire. They take Mesopotamia, and Iran began its long fall. And after the conquest, there came settlements with new cities, such as the embryo of Cairo on the Nile, in opposition to the more Roman city of Alexandria.
The embryo? Like
Yes.
the ovum?
Yeah, the ovum of the city of Cairo.
Okay.
They're making a small city.
Sorry. I thought that was reserved for, like, living organisms, but I guess a city is.
Can be cities as well, yeah, exactly. And then they also found two important cities in Mesopotamia, which are the city of Kufa, next to the site of the Battle of Qadisiyah, which is vaguely in the area that Ctesiphon was in.
Okay.
And the city of Basra, which is down in lower Mesopotamia, close to the Persian Gulf, which, again, these are going to be very important cities because a lot of these Arab conquerors will settle there and make a new life in the area.
Yeah.
Also, Cyril, from now on, Mesopotamia is changing name.
Oh.
It's going to be called Iraq.
Oh, I see. Okay. We are rebranding.
Nobody's sure of the etymology. It's contested.
Yeah, why are we rebranding?
It might come from the ancient city of Uruk, which is the first city of humankind,
yeah, it was
which is
there.
also pretty cool.
Yeah.
But it's a disputed etymology. It's what the Arabs called it, and so this is what
see.
the name has become.
Okay, interesting. So this is why then.
And it's amid all these great developments that the Caliph Umar, the second caliph, was murdered by a Persian slave.
Oops.
So now we can settle into the story of the Caliph Uthman. We're 45 minutes into recording. We've gotten to the guy.
Listen, it is the first episode of the new season. People have missed us, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
it's
If
fine.
they're listening to this, they're happy that we're,
Surely, yeah.
Giving
Surely
them
they're
some-
enjoying it. It's good times.
Plus, you don't know if you've kept my little recap or if we're publishing that ahead of time.
Yeah,
So
we'll see. We'll see where that goes. But yeah. So Uthman, our new caliph, Uthman ibn Affan. We'll get to what Ibn means in a moment. He was born in either 573 or 576, but that broadly makes him of the same generation as Khosrow II,
I see. Okay.
and more importantly to him, the Prophet Muhammad, though he is a couple years younger. He came from a rich clan called the Umayyad clan, which was a wealthy clan in Mecca that tended to do a lot of trading across the Arabian Peninsula. But Uthman's family also has another claim to fame because his mother was the cousin of the Prophet Muhammad,
Ooh.
and he himself was a member of the same tribe, the Quraysh, which will definitely be important as time goes on.
Yeah.
So we have tribes, which are this larger subdivision, and then clans, which are smaller family groups within them.
So then he's related to the Prophet
He is, yes, he
by
is.
blood. Yeah.
All these communities are quite tightly knit. Like a lot of these early figures that we'll see are somehow related to the Prophet.
I mean, that makes sense because it's the beginning. So, like, probably if the Prophet was around and he told his family and his family followed. And,
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So also, I mentioned Uthman ibn Affan. Cyril, do you know what the ibn particle means in
I
Arabic?
do not.
Well, this is a bit of a lesson on Arabic naming practices because ibn is a prefix, ibn or bin, depending on which branch of Arabic you're looking at, is a prefix referring to the name of your father, so a patronymic,
Okay.
which
yeah.
means that he is Uthman, son of Affan.
Yes.
And the feminine version is bint, as opposed to bin.
Okay.
So if you want to use that. Also, we're going to receive in the future another type of name, which is a tetronym, which has the prefix abu, or ab, or abba, abi, abu, depending on
variations
what
of
sounds
that,
best. Yes. Which references the name of your firstborn son and is used
Ooh.
in some cases.
That's so interesting. I've never heard of an addition to a name made after you have a child to reflect that
exactly.
child. That's really cool.
And this is actually used a lot as an honorific. So if you want to speak to somebody respectfully, you call them Abu for son's name. So if your son is called Muhammad, then you are now Abu Muhammad.
I see.
So a lot of people there. Hilariously, I mean, I don't know if it's hilarious. It's fun. Abu Bakr. Bakr means camel. So
No.
the first caliph's name is Camel Dad because of a whole anecdote that goes on.
Oh my god. Okay, I see.
So that's brilliant and I love it.
Father of camel.
And hey, he's going to be one of the options on Patreon. So if people want to know more about him, vote for it
him.
and
Yeah.
we'll tell you more. We can tell you the camel story. It'd be great. Also, there's another guy that's going to be called Father of the Monkey because he had a pet monkey. There's a bunch of
Yeah, I
things,
see.
right?
So people do like what we do with our pet
You can do
dogs
some
and
wordplay
cats,
with
where you're
it if
like,
you
this
want.
is my
Yeah,
child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, back to Uthman. One thing that we know about his youth is that he traveled with his father a lot for trade, buying goods in Yemen, and then taking caravans to Syria where they would resell the goods.
I see. Yeah. Merchant stuff.
Then, when he was about 20, Uthman's father died on a trading expedition, so Uthman was left with a large inheritance that he used to build up a trading empire for himself, in pursuit of which he traveled far and wide to the edges of the Arabian world. So he's a very well-traveled man. And we're also told that he was literate as part of his work as a merchant, because he was one of the few early converts to Islam who knew how to write.
Ooh. Interesting.
Because, for example, the Prophet needed to dictate the Quran to other people who would write it down. He wouldn't write it himself.
Yes, because he was of humble
so,
origin, and like back then, either you were maybe a monk in some monastery or actually royalty, or you wouldn't usually learn how to.
Also, these are tribal, limitedly urbanized societies, so you don't need that much writing. Most things are done through oral tradition.
Yeah.
So it's at the end of one of his frequent business trips to Syria in 611, when it was shifting to the Sassanid side during the last great war of antiquity, that Uthman heard about the preaching of Muhammad. And after speaking with Abu Bakr, who was later the first caliph, Uthman himself converted to Islam and was presented to Muhammad himself.
Is Uthman the one whose mother was the cousin?
Yes, that's right.
Right.
So
he
probably
heard,
knew Muhammad.
Yeah, he heard of his, second uncle or something like this.
Yeah, second cousin once removed or something like that, and was like,
I was like,
he's
been
founded
saying
a
some
religion.
stuff.
Yeah.
Sure.
And he's like, oh yeah, actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah, let's go for this.
Fun.
But the problem is that this brought Uthman in conflict with his family, the Umayyads, because they were strongly part of the establishment of Mecca, and this new tradition was threatening to their power, so he sort of made a break with his family. Yeah. But this means that Uthman is still one of the first dozen converts to Islam, when it was still basically people who personally knew Muhammad from his daily life. And so this is one of the reasons that will make it so that Uthman will become caliph, because, well, he is intimately tied to the start of the religion.
He got to try the beta. He was a beta tester.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm so sorry, everyone. I'm sure this episode will not bring us any interesting comments.
It'll be fine. Everybody's lovely on the internet.
I know.
But yeah, so this was a turbulent time when the Meccans were opposed to the new religion. It was so bad that 2 of Muhammad's daughters were set aside by their husbands. Because they said, oh, well, you're the daughters of that cult leader. We don't want to be associated with that, so we're divorcing you.
But they were already together. What?
Yes, yeah.
That's so mean. They didn't make the cult?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
But our man Uthman takes pity on these poor daughters and says, no, I'm going to marry one of these called Ruqayya, and she's going to be my wife, because I respect her and I respect the Prophet, and I think that
if you don't want them, I'll take them.
Way.
And the women are like, what is happening? You guys.
It's a chaotic time for them, yes. There's a lot going on. But yeah, at this point, things were starting to become physically unsafe for the early Muslims, so Uthman decided to take his wife and a dozen other Muslims and emigrated to the Christian kingdom of Abyssinia in April of 615. So this is roughly Ethiopia, Sudan region.
Okay.
And there's this Christian kingdom, and they're welcoming Uthman and these other emigres.
Nice.
There in Abyssinia, Uthman continued to have a good time, continuing his profession as a merchant, and seemed to draw other Muslim emigres, founding a small community there. Because, well, they're not safe at home in Mecca, they might as well spend some time here.
So he was, responsible for, answering about Islam as this new religion, but also he was still just doing his usual work.
Yeah, basically.
He just did this in the weekends, or what?
Needs to make a living somehow, yeah. 4 years later, he receives great news. he is told that the people of Mecca had converted to Islam.
Oh, how?
So we can go home, hooray!
What happened?
Yeah, so Uthman's also wondering, but he doesn't want to look a gift horse in the mouth, so he takes his wife, 40 members of the Muslim Abyssinian community, and returns to Mecca to help out founding the new society.
Oh no. This worries me.
Yes. Problem is that when they arrived, they found out that they'd gotten some faulty news, and actually the people in Mecca are still pagan.
Yeah.
And so they're kind of screwed.
I was thinking this was sounded kind of dangerous. Someone's suddenly is like, actually, you guys can come back totally.
Yeah.
It's fine now.
Uthman's decided he's done all the work of moving, he might as well just stay here at this point.
Yeah, fair.
And he just sets up a trading route with the people who are left in Abyssinia and says, you know what, I'm a trader. Let's
do the
make
thing.
the best of a bad situation. Yeah.
I don't know much about dealing with like establishing religions. I'm no prophet, but I am a merchant. I can do this.
But I know one prophet, so it's fine.
Yes.
And he told me he's the last one, so that's brilliant. I don't have to deal with that. I
don't have to live up to him. I just,
Yeah. But yeah, so then in 622, Uthman was among those who migrated from Mecca to Medina in the Hijrah, which is the start of the Islamic calendar, which I mentioned before.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look like this was too difficult a move for Uthman personally, since he was one of the richest men in Mecca. And in Medina, he did what he always did and started up trade, which also made him fabulously rich. So he's doing well for himself. But on the bright side, he didn't really hoard his riches, since he gained the honorific title Ghani, which means exceedingly generous, because he would often give money to those in need and to further the religion.
The philanthropist.
Yes. Like in one case, we're told that somebody was being cruel to the Muslim community by selling water from a well at an extremely high price. So Uthman decided to buy half the time on the well from this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy was like, yeah, sure, we can do this. But then Uthman would give away all the water for free during his half of the time.
So nobody would have to buy the water.
So nobody would have to buy the other one.
Excuse me, did you make the well make water for you?
Apparently, people spend.
No, I know. I am familiar with humanity.
Yes.
Just,
Yes. Yeah, and then the guy eventually finished selling the well to Uthman at the end. And so he gave it all the way to free to the Muslim community because, well, this was his gift to everyone, and the Prophet was very grateful. In the next years, Uthman participated in the battles to unify Arabia under the Islamic banner, all except one where his wife was unwell, and Muhammad said, no, take care of my daughter. You're going to be just as honored as though you had fought in the battle. It's okay, take care of your wife, my man.
Fair.
Which, good, reasonable to do. Take care of your wives. Although it does seem that Uthman wasn't too personally skilled in battle, because he is known to have run away a few times. Yeah, he's a merchant. It's not his job. But yeah, despite having run away a few times, he was later forgiven by Muhammad, who said, I get it, man, you're a merchant. It's fine.
I get it. War is scary.
Yeah, war is scary. It's fair enough. Things happen.
Yeah.
And yeah, speaking of forgiveness, according to tradition, Uthman funded Muhammad's planned expedition into Syria, for which Muhammad declared Uthman forgiven of all sins present and future.
Well, that's sort of, you buy yourself into not having sins, but alright. You don't know what he's gonna do. What if he does one real bad? Is that still...
That's why some people don't accept this tradition, because they say that it was a later tradition to forgive Uthman for things he will do in the future.
Yeah.
So, who knows?
Sounds sketchy to me.
But then came 632 and the last year of the Prophet Muhammad, and Uthman participated in his farewell pilgrimage to Mecca after the city was finally conquered. Uthman was also present at the event of Ghadir Qum, which we'll talk a lot more about next episode, but for now let's say that it's a very contentious event, where according to Sunni Muslims, we'll get into the difference between Sunni and Shia more next episode when it starts. Because according to Sunni Muslims, Muhammad said that Ali, the future fourth caliph, was a cool guy and worthy of honor and respect.
Mm-hmm.
But according to Shias, Muhammad appointed Ali as his heir and successor.
I see.
This is all hinging on the interpretation of one word in classical Arabic.
Ooh, yeah, this is...
Depending on how you interpret the word, you get different meanings for what the Prophet wanted.
This is what happens.
This is why people argue.
Language is fallible, and the guy is not here to ask him, so...
Yeah. But yeah, so then we see what happened in previous times. So after the death of Muhammad, Abu Bakr succeeds the caliphate, and this was positive news for Uthman since, well, Abu Bakr was the guy who converted him in the first place.
Yeah.
So
They're
brilliant.
buddies.
They know each other.
Yeah.
Done. Yeah. When Abu Bakr became caliph, it was Umar, the second caliph, first, and then Uthman was the second person who offered his allegiance to him. So he's very quick to accept this new status of things, saying, yep, I trust you as a caliph. I know you're a good man. I know you're worthy of the position. Let's go.
You are the reason I am here, so...
Yeah. Then we get to all those Ridda wars that I mentioned, where they need to try and keep the Muslim state together.
Yep.
And the caliphate fought to reunite the Arabic tribes, but Uthman himself remained in the city of Medina, acting as an advisor to Abu Bakr. He's not a military man. We've seen this.
You mentioned
He's
that
trying to just...
it was, at some point, it was the last time that he did the pilgrimage to Mecca. Was this, because they were moving things, or this was already a tradition of, doing...
So the Hajj, the pilgrimage to Mecca, is something that every Muslim needs to do at least once in their life if they can. There are other forfeits that you can do that are just as good, but this is the main thing. It's one of the pillars of Islam. And it was the last pilgrimage because it was the last one that the Prophet did when he was alive. So he had one last farewell tour where he just talked to everybody and gave his last words, and then eventually...
So this was sort of one of the things that God said you should do?
Yeah, basically.
I see. Okay.
So this is, as a sign of piety, you should go and you should give charity to people while you're on the way, and you should make sure to be generous. And there are many other important parts of the actual practice of Islam, but this Hajj is going to be something that is very important, also because caliphs traditionally lead the Hajj themselves. So they're the ones who go in person, leading the other pilgrims, and they go and they show what needs to be done. They lead the prayer and all that.
Okay.
So yeah, so then these wars happen. Arabia's reunified. We made it. And on his deathbed, the Caliph Abu Bakr dictates his will to Uthman, with an important element being that Umar would become the second caliph. We then see what happened during the first part of Yazid III's reign, with the caliphate exploding out of Arabia, winning the battles of Qadisiyah and Yarmouk, which gave the caliphate Mesopotamia and the Roman Levant respectively, which made it basically the same size as the empire that Khosrow II took.
I see.
Which is not so coincidental, because that already had the experience of being a unified empire under Khosrow for 20 years. Yeah. So it makes sense that this would be
they just take
reasonable
it all together.
to administer under the new caliphate. Yeah. But then in 644, Umar was murdered by a Persian slave.
Right.
But it was a slow death. Fortunately for him, in a way.
Is it fortunate? I disagree.
Because Umar was poisoned and was dying.
Yeah, okay. But at least he knew he was dying, so now he can make a move.
So he could figure out what to do afterwards. So he said, okay, listen, I've been poisoned and I'm dying slowly. I don't think I have enough wherewithal to decide who should the next caliph be. But I can appoint a committee of people.
And you guys figure it out.
Yeah, and you can figure it out. And all these people were those to whom paradise was promised. These are the closest companions of the Prophet Muhammad. And he basically says, choose amongst yourselves who you think is the most worthy. You can go for it.
I see.
And this committee had two people that we should remember. One of them was Ali, who would become the fourth caliph. And next episode. And the other was Uthman himself.
I see.
So the committee deliberated for 3 days, and it ended up split between Ali and Uthman. They're the finalists. They decide these two are the ones who should be caliph.
So how did they...
The two candidates were then asked if they would follow the Quran, the message of Muhammad, and the precedent of the previous two caliphs.
Yeah, that seems like pretty basic requirements.
Reasonable. But Ali himself was the first one to answer this question, and he said that he would do everything. He would follow the Quran, follow the message of Muhammad, of course. But he would not necessarily follow the example of the previous caliphs, only, and I quote, act for the best according to his knowledge and capability.
That's fair, especially if he maybe disagreed with something that the previous caliphs had done.
Exactly. Depending on the sources, There's definitely a large group of people who believe that Ali should have been the first caliph, as opposed to Abu Bakr.
So even nowadays, this is still creating some drama.
Yes, this is why there's a split between branches of Islam. At the same time, Uthman said that, no, I'm just going to follow the example of all the caliphs. Let's do this.
Yeah. This has been working so far. I will continue to make it work.
Yeah. And the committee looked at this and said, well, Ali, you did not fulfill the one requirement we asked you to fulfill. So, Uthman, you're caliph. Congratulations.
Ali, you were being too honest.
Yeah. And it's also worth noting in this case that Uthman was in his 70s at this point.
I see, yeah.
While Ali was in his 40s, so it would have been Uthman's last chance, and Ali could have a chance afterwards. So it's not like
they weren't disqualifying Ali forever.
It's not your turn, essentially. Yeah. It's quite endearing, I thought, that Uthman gave an inaugural speech. Of course, he's elected caliph. He goes out to the crowd and he speaks. But at the beginning of his speech, he stumbled on his words, and he was stuttering. He was anxious. So he said the following. O people, it is not easy to manage a new horse. If God willing I live, there will be other occasions to talk to you. I cannot talk any more now, but then you all know that I have never been good at making public speeches.
That's so valid.
So I like that. It's very human. It's very sweet.
Yeah. Just like, okay, you did not choose me for my ability to speak in public. So this will be it. Thank you.
Yeah. This will be it. Goodbye. Hope you have fun in the caliphate.
Yeah. That's so fair.
But Uthman was faced with a challenge at the start of his reign, because the son of the previous caliph Umar had heard a rumor that a certain Persian man was involved in the caliph's murder. So he killed him in revenge.
That's a harsh, rush decision. This doesn't usually go well.
So the son was caught, and the matter was brought before the Caliph Uthman. So he could do two things. He could either execute the son, which would be an unpopular move because, well, his father was just killed and he was doing it
they already killed the guy. What more,
Yeah, so it's like, do you want to kill him for a revenge killing? That feels like it's just adding killing to killing.
Yeah.
But that's technically what the religious law would say because, well,
because
he did murder a guy in cold blood, so
equal crime.
Or he could pay blood money to the murdered Persian's family and say, "Listen, this is your reward. I know your family member was murdered, but we're ending this here."
But the family member was murdered because he did it, right?
Because he allegedly did it.
Right, but it was not proven.
The son of Umar didn't go to court and say, "Oh, this guy killed my father. You should arrest him and execute him."
Yeah.
He just did it himself.
Him. Yeah. And now you have to do damage control because your son was rush.
Yes. So what do you think Uthman did? Do you think he went with the execution, you should have gone through proper channels, this is what legally should happen? Or do you think he went
Interesting, because this is going to make a huge impact on what sort of person he is and what sort of image.
Exactly. Again, do you think he's the type of person who does things by the book even though it might cause more resentment? Or do you think he's the type of person that's willing to bend the rules as long as it'll set the matter to rest?
How strict were the previous caliphs?
Previous caliphs were quite strict. Umar was known as being quite strict.
Because he did say he would do as the previous caliphs had done.
He did say he'd follow their example, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm thinking he might be ruthless about it, even though I'm not a fan of this, but you know.
Well, Uthman followed your advice, actually, because he chose to pay the blood money to avoid any unrest. The problem is that this caused some friction between Uthman and Ali, the other finalist, for the caliphate, who was advocating for following the law as a matter of principle. As in, like, no, this is just what the law says. This is what you're meant to do. You can't just bend the rules because it would be more convenient to not follow the law this time. Like, you're not in charge. It's not up to you to decide what the law is. You are an executor of the law, not its creator.
Mm-hmm.
So there are disagreements, and there's this striking at the heart of the question arising over the role of the caliph.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, is the caliph more of a politician or more of a religious figure? So when the needs of politics clash with the needs of religion, what should the caliph do?
Yeah.
And it seems like Uthman is leaning towards the political side, while Ali is leaning towards the principled religious side.
Right.
So, yeah, it's a big thing. People will argue about it for a while.
Yeah. It's tough.
But due to his origins as a trader, Uthman had plans for how to organize the new caliphate's economy. Because he deviated from Umar's policy, something he's done twice now,
Yeah.
that Umar had a policy that banned the sale of lands and buying agricultural lands in new conquered territories. He said, let's just do this. I mean, we have a bunch of people and a bunch of fertile territories we've conquered.
We're losing value here, guys.
Yeah, you can buy and sell it. It'd be great. And this will also help people migrate to new lands because, Iraq is now mostly filled with the people who lived in the Sassanid Empire, and Syria is filled with the people who lived in the Roman Empire. Well, we should get more Arabs to move there and live there so we can administer this area better, so we can actually rule it properly. And so he managed to stimulate all this trade and migration to the new lands. But he followed with Umar's example instead by increasing a previous allowance that was given to all Arab people, and he ensured that any new lands conquered would not be split between the soldiers, but would be left to their original owners.
Okay.
Because the first conquests, the conquerors would come and take everything.
Yeah.
But now they're saying, no. Everybody will hate us if we do this.
Yeah.
So let's leave people with their lands, and they can sell them at low prices, perhaps, to the new Muslims coming in. So that will make it a lot more effective. We don't have to expropriate people and chase them from their homeland.
Yeah, we can just pretend we're being civil and sink them into poverty.
Yeah.
But at least, it's slower than just leaving them on the streets.
And yeah, the sources tell us, though, that both Muslims and non-Muslims prospered economically during Uthman's reign.
Okay, that's nice.
Although the main source of revenue from the caliphate was the jizya tax, which was levied for each of the non-Muslim people of the book who were officially tolerated. So the fact is that if you are Christian, a Jew, and eventually a Zoroastrian, you don't have to convert to Islam, it's fine. You only need to convert if you believe.
Right.
But you do have to pay an extra tax, while Muslims don't have to pay any tax.
Because there's some perks at being Muslim.
Yeah, so if you want to keep your beliefs, do it. If you don't, fine.
Yeah.
Which is something that I was so surprised to discover, which is actually how few people converted at this early stage. There are some estimates that there was a 10% Muslim population in the caliphate in the early 8th century, which is, about 50 years from the start of Islam.
Yeah.
Which kind of reminded me of Hellenism back in the day, where elites and certain cities adopted the new ways, but the majority of the empire continued to carry on with their own traditions.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like the Seleucids, where you found new cities like Cairo, Kufa, and Basra, where your people mainly live, but the people who live, say, in Ctesiphon, in Damascus, in Antioch, they're all still carrying on with their old ways and living their lives. So it's quite interesting. So overall, people are appreciating Uthman's rulership. He seems to be a competent ruler doing a good job.
Nice.
The one aspect that they didn't appreciate as much was his willingness to accept gifts for him and his family. Something that Umar had categorically refused to do.
Yeah.
And could certainly be seen as a source for corruption. Because, if you give a gift to the caliph, are there no strings attached? That's
that's I think the moral and correct thing to do when you have a position of power is to not accept this. So
which is why some government positions aren't allowed to gain gifts because,
it's problematic.
It could be a conflict of interest.
Yeah. Conflict of interest is a good way to put it.
But a big element of Uthman's reign was war. Because the conquest of the empire hasn't finished expanding yet. It's still
we're
going.
doing this,
Although, unlike previous caliphs, he did not centrally direct the armies. As we saw, he isn't a very warlike man himself. But he gave them broad areas of responsibilities and allowed them a large degree of independence for what to do. So he basically just pointed east and pointed west and said, you go there, pointed north, you go there.
Do your work. Do your job. Yeah.
Report back when you're done.
Yeah.
Something on which he did have personal influence was the establishment of an Arab navy in the Mediterranean to counteract the Roman harassment of the coast. Because, they never had a navy. They're a desert people.
That makes sense,
they're dealing with normally. The man in charge of Syria and this new fleet was a cousin of Uthman, a man called Muawiyah, who you will want to remember because he will be important in 2 episodes. I mean, next episode already, but in 2 episodes definitely. Also, just a fun fact, Uthman asked that Muawiyah bring his wife with him on the fleet to make sure he could trust its stability with someone important to him.
Oh, I see. Yeah, no, it's the same reason why the Theban army worked so well.
Yeah, exactly. Just if there's somebody you care about with you, you'll probably make sure that you double check this actually works.
Yep.
But okay, let's look at the conquests in different regions. So in the west, the Caliphate's armies conquered a significant portion of North Africa, aiming for Carthage and the rest of modern Tunisia from the Romans, where apparently the Arab forces were greatly outnumbered, but they killed the Roman commander and won the battle decisively. Some authors also claim that the Caliphate crossed the Mediterranean and conquered the coastal area of Al-Andalus, with Uthman himself boasting that he would conquer Constantinople through that route. However, there isn't much evidence for this, and at best it was some minor coastal settlements and some raids, because we have no evidence.
Well, maybe that was the plan, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah, exactly. They'll make it there eventually, but it'll take a while to take over.
Yeah.
There was also a serious attempt by the Romans to retake Egypt in 644 at the start of Uthman's reign, together with all the rebellions that sprung up at the death of Umar, but the invading force was defeated and Alexandria was sacked as a punishment.
Damn.
In the east, we have what happened during the second half of Yazdegerd III's reign, because on the death of Umar, several areas of Iran had rebelled, but they were all reconquered in the next years, with Persia finally being taken for the Caliphate in 650. It's also interesting to note that the south and west of Iran resisted the most, and so their noble families were exterminated entirely.
Whoa.
So they're gone.
When
Those old noble families disappeared.
When they eventually lost, yeah.
Yeah. However, in the rest of the region, some nobles decide to surrender more readily and give off their lands, and so they manage to hold on to some sort of authority in a new form. So they're sort of changing everything so that nothing must change.
I see.
But it's also interesting to note that the Caliphate began to evolve into a more Perso-Arab direction because the people who had the most experience in governing an empire were the Iranians. Like, these are the same people who, under Khosrow, a few decades before, had governed most of the known world. They know how to do this.
Yeah.
They're able to do this. And so, while they're not socially on top, Iranian administrators are widely used across the Caliphate. And there's going to be a fundamental tension, we'll see, between the Arabs who are coming in and are the ruling class versus a lot of these Persian administrators who are doing a lot of the work of governing day to day. So we'll see how that evolves in the future.
Because they're good bureaucrats.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Then in the north, Armenia was conquered in the 640s, while in the south, there seems to have been an unsuccessful forays into Nubia, though nothing that endangered the conquest of Egypt. Egypt was well secured. And also, interesting fact about Nubia, so many Muslim soldiers returned with arrows in their eyes.
What?
Being blinded by Nubian archers, that the Nubian archers were called archers of the eye because they were so accurate, they would just go for the eyes.
That's so cool and so haunting. I love that.
Absolutely terrifying.
Yep. Damn, Nubian archers. They're not messing around.
But yeah, then in 650, there began to arise a problem. Because a lot of people...
Things were going too well.
Yes, things were going too well. Because we have a vast empire. It reaches from India to Egypt and from Arabia to Armenia. It's big. And it's exploded off in a short amount of time.
Yeah, this is never good.
We have a problem with the Quran specifically, because right now it's being transmitted orally by a lot of the soldiers and the people on campaign. Can you guess what the problem is there?
That people don't speak the same language?
People do speak the same language, at least in the army they do.
No, in the army, yeah. I was thinking of like the big, vast empire that,
Okay. I mean... It's not trickled down to the local population quite yet.
Okay. So it's just, okay. So people do speak the same language. Well, still, I think you would have an issue of, like, broken telephone going on.
That's exactly the religious problem that's showing up, because, there were slight differences in how it's recited by different groups, or, like, slight pronunciation differences. People have different dialects of Arabic. So is it fine to change a metaphor? Can you do this? Can you not? But, again... As we mentioned before,
it's the word
the
of
Quran
God.
is literally the word of God. So you can't change a sentence because
so are you
it flows
memorizing
in a different way.
it to like
Yeah, you
word
need to memorize
by word.
it exactly.
Yeah, it's like reciting Shakespeare. You can't just paraphrase.
Yeah, you can't just say like being or not being. I guess that's important, I suppose. But
Yeah.
that's not. It doesn't give the same effect.
Mm-hmm.
So to solve this, Uthman decided to gather a committee to use Abu Bakr's personal copy of the Quran and standardize it. So he decided to fix the version that is used to this day, with all other versions being burned, because we don't want people making mistakes.
Yeah.
In this work, they were very conservative, not wanting to lose any information, so they also kept in different versions of the same stories, and in one case, they added punctuation of unknown meaning because it could be important.
Oh, I see.
So there are certain bits of the Quran where there's unknown punctuation, which is like, we don't know what this means,
but it's there.
It was there when the Prophet wrote it down, so it should
did the
probably
Prophet
need to follow
the
that.
Prophet didn't write it down, right?
Yeah, I don't know how that happened in the oral version. I mean, different secretaries. Ali, our next caliph, was one of the people who did the writing.
Yeah, because he could.
Muawiyah, this cousin of Uthman, did this.
Yeah,
so there's different people wrote it down. But
it was fast enough, I guess.
Yeah, it was
Muhammad
fast enough
was
that people were
alive.
like, we don't know what's going on. This might be an important bit of punctuation. Let's keep it in.
Interesting. Yeah. No, that's so funny because this is so like I've run into this problem. Exactly this problem. No, okay. Not exactly this problem, but like I've run into this problem when you're like, have you ever been copying your own notes or copying like someone else's notes and you don't know what you've written or you're not sure yet? Like you're learning a new language and so you don't know what things mean yet, but you're copying some notes and you're like, I don't know if this is like a scribble or if this is actually how the letter works. Yeah. So I'm going to copy it with the scribble just in case, because I don't recognize the letter that I'm writing, but like...
Yeah, but I might recognize it later.
It could be important, and if it's not there, it could be something else. Yeah.
Yep, that's the vibe. And also, Sarah, so the Quran is mostly made up of sayings or poems or stories that are in different levels.
Yeah.
So how do you think they were ordered? What do you think is a good way to order them?
Well, I would go chronologically, but it might be something else. It might be alphabetically. It might be just how God said them. I don't,
So they decide to go in the following way. They decide to order the surahs, which are these
the
verses,
poems,
by length. Because all the verses should be equal in rank, and they were all created by God at the same time at the creation of the universe anyway. So it's not important if they were revealed sooner or later.
I guess.
Because the Quran is co-eternal with God.
Yeah. I guess if you look at it that way. If God wasn't telling a story, but God was just speaking all of the truth, and humans can only understand time linearly. So you hear one thing after the other, but like this was all...
Yeah, it was all at once.
All at once, then I'm like, I guess it doesn't matter then.
Yeah, it's also worth saying that the Quran, unlike, for example, the Bible, which most of our listeners would probably be more familiar with given the geography I see, while the Bible is mostly like a story, and it's like, and Jesus did this thing, and then he did this other thing, and this happened, and blah, blah, blah.
It has a narrative, like it's
the Quran is more like sayings or proverbs. It's more that vibe. It's not, for example, the story of the Prophet Muhammad.
Yeah.
It's just a series of different sayings and pronouncements that God made.
And like stories that you learn from, I assume.
Yeah, exactly.
Not fables, but that like, this is the story of when this happened.
Parables.
And from this you should learn that this and this. Yeah. I see.
Also, it's worth noting that Sunnis follow this version of the story, while Shias, who don't really accept Uthman's legitimacy for reasons we'll explore next time, believe that it was actually Muhammad himself who compiled the first version, and that's when they had it from the start.
I see.
Different versions, just mentioning it here. But Serial, we get an omen in the year 650.
Oh, I love omens.
Good times. Because Uthman was directing work on a well when he pointed to a direction. And he wore a ring. He wore the signet ring of the Prophet Muhammad. That was the sign of his legitimacy as a caliph.
Given to him, yeah.
And when he pointed in this direction of the well, the ring fell off his finger and fell into the well.
Oh yeah, that is a bad omen.
This ring is not a normal ring, Cyril. This was made of silver, and personally approved of by the Archangel Gabriel.
Yeah, that is kind of an important ring. Also,
So you don't want to lose that.
Yeah, no. Oh god, I can see this happening and everyone going pale. Because, like, of course it can happen that you lose a ring when you move your hand too quickly, right? But, oh no.
Not this ring.
Oh
This
no.
is a bad ring to lose.
The very important magical ring.
Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah.
So Uthman just decided to empty everything and dig in the mud for the lost ring and just look everywhere he could possibly think. But it would not be found in the end. It was just lost.
Oh no.
Forever.
But it fell in a well?
Yeah, apparently. He was digging a new well and it was just like, oh, gone.
No.
So he tried to dig everything up, but nothing. Couldn't find it.
Oh no.
So,
That's terrible.
Yeah. So Uthman was forced to make a copy that he wore for the rest of his life, but eventually disappeared after his death.
Yeah.
So he tried.
Because it was not angel approved.
Yeah, exactly. So, as mentioned, not great news because of omens.
Yeah.
And not everybody was happy with Uthman and the existence of the caliphate in general. So Uthman decided to call a council in 654, gathering all the provincial governors to Medina, where they would discuss what could be done to improve governance, and they adopted individual policies for each region.
Okay, that's nice.
So that's nice.
They're working on it.
Just listen to people, he said, okay, what are the problems in your region? How can we help that? And they agreed, and everybody went home nice and satisfied.
Yeah.
A few months later, Uthman sent agents around the caliphate to see how things were going. Just progress update.
Did we implement the changes?
Yeah. So there was good news from Iraq and Syria, where people were generally happy and only had personal complaints, as in like, oh, I didn't get this position, or this governor was my personal enemy, so we're not getting along. Yeah. But overall, the policies seemed good.
Man, remember when people used to have personal enemies?
Yes. Good times.
Were they? Anyway.
Yeah, great times.
Yeah, maybe we should have
how else will we have homoerotic sword fights?
I was gonna say we should remember people to duels more often. What is the word I'm looking for?
Challenge people to duels?
We should challenge people to duels more often.
Yeah, they're fun. They're good stuff.
If anything, for the homoeroticism of it all.
Especially for the homoeroticism of it all. But the problem came from Uthman's messengers from Egypt, because it seems that there was a rebellion brewing, and they wanted to support Ali as caliph. Ali, who was the other candidate and who was disagreeing with him.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, this news didn't come from the agent, but from the governor of Egypt himself, who told Uthman that the agent had joined the rebels and would not be coming back.
Oh no.
So, bad times overall.
Yeah.
And so it looks like there were general social problems in Egypt because the newcomers to the region were being upstaged by the ones who had participated in the first invasion and were members of the traditional Meccan aristocracy. While there were other ones left out in the cold who were mainly tribesmen on the outskirts of traditional society. So the rich people of Mecca were getting richer in Egypt now, while the poor people were just being poor, except in Egypt now. So they were arguing and they're thinking, well, we have a new empire. Why can't we just share this better? We're not that many of us. Yeah. We can do this.
It's not fair, you guys.
Yeah.
I thought with a new system it would be better.
This was also combined with the fact that some of the first invaders who weren't high up in society, so some low-born people who were part of the first wave of invasions, were being surpassed by nobles who had the right friends. In particular, Uthman's family, the Umayyads, who were receiving a lot of juicy positions.
I wonder why.
Yeah. So Uthman needed to deal with this issue, and he decided to call up anybody with complaints against the government to come to Mecca for the Hajj, and their issues would be addressed. So we can have a pilgrimage, and then we can discuss what's going on, and everybody's grievances will be taken.
I'm trusting this is not going to be come to the banquet, everything will be fine, we'll go hunting kind of approach.
Uthman's a cool guy. He's a generous man.
Yeah.
Why are you concerned?
Well, because we are in a certain podcast.
Yes, fair.
How should I not be concerned?
So, what happened is that all the people came to Mecca. And things went very well.
Okay.
Because because all these rebel leaders came to Mecca and they found that in Mecca, all the local people didn't really care for their opinion. They were like, we're actually doing quite well, thank you very much. And now that they weren't surrounded by their supporters, this Egyptian delegation lost their steam. And Uthman said, okay, we'll make some changes. I see where you're coming from. Fair enough. We can adjust this. It's okay.
Yeah. Like, okay, tell me what caused your rebellion. Like, what are your terms? What are the things that you're unhappy about? And let's work on those instead of burning everything to the ground. Nice.
However, things were still a bit tense because Muawiyah, the Umayyad governor of Syria, who's the cousin of Uthman, suggested that Uthman should actually travel from Medina to Syria, where Muawiyah had an army, so he could keep him safe.
But then it's like escalating instead of de-escalating, exactly. Which we don't.
That was Uthman's argument. Yeah. Uthman said, well, I don't want to leave the city of the Prophet, first of all. And then also, this is going to cause a civil war. I just want to calm things down, make it peaceful. We don't want to.
Like, if I'm saying, don't worry, guys, we'll figure it out, and then I arm myself, this does not send a good message.
There's also a period when there were discussions about whether Uthman should just abdicate the caliphate, and whether such a thing was possible at all.
They don't give him a break, huh?
Yeah.
They're like, you're not working how we want you to work.
The thing is also that, like, God chose Uthman to be caliph, so can you abdicate that? Like, if God chose you, can you just say, no thanks, it's okay?
Yeah.
No thanks, I'd rather not? It's very unclear. This will be a big religious issue in like 100 years. Because
at some point it's going to have to happen.
Yeah, the fact that God chose you, does that mean that everything you do is correct then?
Yeah.
Because God chose you and God is omniscient, so am I off the hook? Or can I do wrong things? It's a whole thing we'll get into.
Are you telling me that you know what God meant by choosing you?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's arguments about what was God's intention with this. The problem is that Egypt is still...
Egypt, as always,
bubbling.
Is a thing.
Egypt is always there and will forever. Because Uthman decided to summon the governor to Medina so they could discuss what to do. So he talked with the rebels, now he's taking the governor, and we can have a chat.
We should make an extra podcast called The Problem with Egypt, and it's the problem with Egypt in every, decade.
Yes, forever and ever and ever and ever, until they eventually become independent again.
What's the problem with Egypt? When? Which one?
Things. All of them. But yeah, so Egypt is still in danger, so he summons the governor to Medina so they can discuss what to do. Yeah. But as soon as the governor leaves, his deputy rebelled and started a full-on revolt.
Okay, so I guess we are here now.
So the rebels, and also some from Iraq, sent contingents of 1,000 people each to go to Medina to try and kill Uthman and take control of the government.
Damn. That's a lot of people. To kill one guy.
Yeah. But, he's the ruler. You might want some help. Yeah. These people also contacted Ali, who was their preferred candidate for caliph, and they offered him the caliphate.
Yep.
What do you think Ali did?
This feels really amoral. Like, if you accept this, what does that say about how you would be as a caliph, Mm-hmm. But also, I don't know, he also was like, I want to do things my way. And that could have been, I didn't agree with how people were doing things before, I want to do them better. Or it can be, I want to do things my way. So
do you think he went for it? Or do you think he was like, no, actually, not like this, at least?
Something tells me he might have gone for it, but I'm not going to like him for it.
Well, actually, Ali is a cool and great guy.
Oh my God.
Muhammad said so himself.
Yay.
Ali looked at these people and was like, I disagree with the guy. I don't want to kill him. What? No. I mean, I'll be caliph eventually, I hope, but don't do this.
This is not the way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what would that say about me as a caliph if I do it this way?
It's a bad time.
Yeah.
So the rebels approached a bunch of other candidates, but nobody wanted to accept because, what are you doing? This is madness. Yeah. We don't fight other Muslims.
We don't need to do this, yeah.
Yeah, we are all in this together. We're all
Muslims.
This
was the whole point, to make this community.
Yeah, exactly.
We have enough going on.
Very much.
Yeah. Internal struggles are always...
Yeah. And so again, just to reiterate, what is the caused this rebellion? Well, there's disagreement between Shias and Sunnis, but
Right.
broadly, it looks like there were tribal rivalries, which religion had managed to suppress them so far, but now, if I'm from a tribe in southern Arabia and you're from a tribe in northern Arabia, I don't like you. We don't get along. We have different customs. And if we're forced to coexist in Egypt, friction will happen and there will be problems.
Yeah. It's like these villages in Spain that are called something something from up top and something something from the bottom, because they're like further higher up in the mountain and further down the mountain, and they have the same name except for that, and they just hate each other for no reason because they're neighbors.
Yeah. And also, another problem is that Uthman favored members of his Umayyad clan for different government appointments, hoping that this would make the government easier for him. Because, well, I'm related to all these people, I know them, we meet up at family dinners.
Yeah, yeah.
I know how to handle these people. It's easier to govern with them.
Yeah. It's your friends and family.
Yeah, but the problem is that the Umayyads had been some of the most fierce opponents of early Islam. And they had only converted when Muhammad had finally conquered Mecca and defeated them.
And they kind of didn't have any other option.
Yeah. Yeah, Uthman was weird because he was the only Umayyad who converted before.
And what does that say about the whole thing of like you should only convert if you believe,
Yeah, so these people are like, people are whispering, do they really believe? Or is it just convenient? And now Uthman has given them great positions. Shouldn't he give good positions to people who are loyal?
Yeah.
To the religion and true believers?
Yeah.
And again, this is part of Uthman's view of the caliph being a politician first and religious leader second.
Yeah.
If it's useful to have less pious people in charge, that should be the direction.
Yeah.
Other people disagree.
Yep. I see. I understand. Yeah.
To add to this, they were all enjoying the economic fruits of this new empire, while the prophet had been humble and parsimonious. So there's more accusations. Like, all the governors are now living lavishly. They're living as...
it comes with perks.
They're no longer small tribal lords.
Yeah.
They're just now in charge of what is the size of kingdoms. So, yeah, this is rubbing people the wrong way.
Yes, of course. I understand.
Before the 1,000 murderous men arrived from Egypt to Medina, the Egyptians sent a delegation to Uthman asking them to replace the current governor with one of their choice. Uthman accepted, and these rebels returned to Egypt.
Okay.
But then they intercepted a messenger for the old governor. And there was a letter here which said that he should execute all the rebels.
Ah, I see. Is this a real letter or a Roman letter?
That is the question, yes. Because the rebels return to Uthman and say, like, hey, we got your letter. You said you should kill us all. And Uthman denied knowledge of this message.
Yeah, of course. Are you, like, what should you say? Oh, yeah, I sent that. I forgot.
Yeah. And nobody knows what it was. If it was like a forgery, if Uthman was lying, or if somebody in government was sort of going behind Uthman's back and saying, oh, the old man doesn't have the stomach to do what needs to be done. I'll send this letter and it'll get sorted.
Yeah.
Although, according to the rebels, the evidence was pretty bad because the messenger was a slave of Uthman's on Uthman's camel, carrying a letter sealed with Uthman's seal and filled out by Uthman's scribe.
Yeah. Forging that would have been so much work. Like, you wouldn't have done all of those things.
Yeah. And the rebels also said, even if this was forged, you're clearly not capable of ruling if somebody can do this.
Yeah.
So you should step down.
This is also just bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
In any case, the rebels caused enough disruption that they managed to limit Uthman's support in Medina, which resulted in a siege of his house after Uthman had been knocked unconscious by stones during a sermon.
Oh, this is pretty bad. This is...
Things are escalating.
Yeah. They already threw stones at him. Like, at this point,
it's going
he could have died already. Bad. Yeah.
Yeah, he's an old man.
Yeah.
He really
needs...
This
is what I mean.
Help, yeah. And yeah, during the siege, people tried to release Uthman, but every time they suggested violence to fight the rebels, Uthman said, no, these are fellow Muslims. We're not killing anyone. We're not doing this.
Yeah.
We've been united since Muhammad's time. This would be the first time Muslims are killing Muslims. I do not want to be the one to start this.
Yeah. Wow.
But then, Serial, on the 17th of June, 656, after 49 days of siege, the rebels surrounding Uthman's house managed to scale some of the nearby buildings and jump into his house.
Oh no.
While setting fire to the doors to avoid any escape.
Oh no.
Uthman said to his companions that they should save themselves since the rebels only wanted him and would regret killing him. Some of his protectors took this, but others went down with him to the very end. One of the rebels, in one version, a man called the Black Death, which is a cool name.
That's like the disease?
No, apparently just like the Death Star.
I see. The Death Star.
That guy. He went up to Uthman while he was reading a huge Quran. So Uthman had decided to sit and accept his fate. He was sitting there reading the Quran. What am I going to do, you know? I might as well meet God while reading his words.
Yeah.
So this man, the Black Death, grabbed Uthman's beard and shook him around.
Why?
Uthman prayed for
what?
protection and tried to raise his hand to defend himself, but it was cut off.
Oh no.
He was then stabbed in the head, bleeding all over the Quran.
Oh, that's horrifying.
It's very symbolic.
Yeah.
And this is a relic that I actually saw in Samarkand. It's supposedly held there.
That is a really old book.
It is quite old, yes.
Is it?
There are several people who claim to have it. I think there are 3 in the
course.
world, but, you know, it's a pretty symbolic thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you have something like that, of course you would, like, make a forgery of it. So I'm not surprised there's several. Wow.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens to the caliphate next time, but for now, Uthman had to be buried in secret, and due to resistance, he had to be buried in the Jewish cemetery of Medina.
Oh.
Although some decades later, his supporters would merge the Jewish and Muslim cemeteries to rectify this.
I see.
2 of his wives tried to give a speech, but were forbidden from doing so for fear of violence.
Oh no. Yeah, because people are still, like, there are a lot of people who did not like
he
the
was
guy.
just murdered,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's difficult.
You want to pay respects, but also you don't want to pay respects. Yeah.
And yeah, in the echo of this Quran being covered with blood, there was a saying of the Prophet that went in this way: "The Lord has a sword sheathed in a scabbard as long as Uthman lives. And when Uthman is slain, that sword shall be drawn, and it will not be sheathed until the day of resurrection."
Yeah.
Violence between Muslims will only escalate from here.
That's
so
very
there
sad.
we are, Serial.
Yeah.
That is the life of Uthman ibn Affan. What are your thoughts of this first new episode of the series?
That was wild. It was a bit confusing at the beginning because we now have a religious leader who is also a ruler politically.
Yes, this is confusing for everybody in the story as
Yeah,
well.
okay. So it's not just me.
Yeah, no. The people at the time were like, is this how it's meant to work?
Is this what
we've
we're
never
doing,
had
guys?
this before, yeah.
Yeah, but sure, because it's like, okay, so he is taking over the mantle of, like, making the decisions for this new religion, this new community around this religion, but also he's like a merchant, like he has a job, but then at some point it's like, no, but actually now my job is ruling because, like, there's a lot to do, you know. He pivots to politician. Complex, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I didn't know anything about the start of Islam, and this was quite interesting. Very sad to see how communities, like, it was so disheartening because they did try to find common ground. They did try to fix things. Just some people were not having it.
Yeah,
some people did not want to settle for anything but escalation. Like, that was the whole point, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, this is the start of a tragedy that will culminate in the next episode. Because there are so many people who are trying so hard to make this work, but ultimately they just fail because of, you know, people making poor choices and disagreements.
Yeah.
And what's also so tragic is that all these people are like, they knew the Prophet personally.
Yeah.
Right? They fought together when they were being persecuted, and now that things are going well, they're fighting amongst each other. Like, several of these people were promised heaven by the Prophet himself.
Yeah.
And now this is what's happening. And that's why it's so tragic. It's as if, you know, like in Christianity, if the apostles all went to war with each other at some point, disagreeing what the legacy of their master was.
Yeah, and it's like, but we all went through so much together, and this is what you want the legacy to be? Just violence and horror?
Yeah, so it's harsh and it's tragic, but it's such a good story.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. And yeah, next episode is going to be very choice. And yeah, actually, Sarah, what do you think happens after the deaths? You know, the Caliph has been murdered by Muslims.
Well, I assume,
What do you think
hopefully,
happens to the
Ali
world?
will take over.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was the plan.
Yeah.
Even for the rebels, they were like, we like this guy. And he was
Yeah,
like,
he's
I don't like you, actually.
He's like, I don't want to be associated with you.
Yeah,
But okay.
stop doing things in my name. This is bad.
Yeah. Yes.
So I assume he'll take over, but there might be for sure some sort of unrest, because with any sort of succession, that's always right. Like,
Yeah.
will the rebels
always
be
the
like,
case.
okay, now you can take over? If he already said no, like, will they? Like, what is? Oof.
Yeah. And how should Ali treat
The fact
people who
that
kill
yeah,
the Caliph?
exactly.
Like, does he punish them? Does he say, oh, well, things happened. We all had a drink.
Yeah,
not,
exactly. Like, do you condone what they've done?
Yeah.
After all, even if they didn't do it in your
Yeah.
name, like if you accept it, yeah.
Yeah. If you're Caliph now, do you just punish them? Do you...
Yeah, this is
It's
similar
messy.
to the issue with the assassin, the murderer of, like, the Persian slave.
Yes, the murder of Umar. That's
Yeah.
it's very similar.
With more people, but like, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, do you follow the letter of the law or do you follow what's politically useful?
Yep.
And
how
that's
will
a big question. and
how
people
will this
disagree,
define
and-
you? Yeah. Ooh.
So we'll find out next episode. Yeah, that'll be an exciting one because we need to deal with the aftermath of all this.
Yeah. Well,
All
I'm
right.
excited. This
So,
was very
yeah.
fun.
So good times. It's good to get back into it. And now, Sarah, do you want to get into the first rating of our new season?
Yes, exciting.
Let's go.
I also need to make some art.
So our first category is final moments. How interesting was his death? Well, he was besieged in his house for 49 days. He was eventually murdered while reading the Quran and begging for mercy after trying to stop anybody from harming his attackers because he did not want to
Yeah.
be the first one to commit this violence.
Oh, this is
This
so
is
tragic.
a good,
That's so
interesting death.
tragic.
I like it. It is so tragic, and I've been reading ahead, but many people, more or less justly, will say, "Oh, I'm just like Uthman," and they will try to replicate
I
the
see.
scene by saying, "Oh, I'm going to wait for my assassins reading the Quran,"
I see.
just like Uthman did.
Yeah, I can see what they would do. That it is a noble approach, like Khosrow sitting under the tree with his sword in front of him,
Yeah, very
sort
much.
of just
Very much that vibe.
like serenely resigning yourself to your fate in a very regal way.
Yeah, it's like you've been defeated, but you're not going to lose your dignity.
Yeah,
You're going to
yeah.
continue on with it. So how would you rate that? Because we gave Khosrow the second a 10 out of 10. So that he was the highest one. He was the only 10
Yeah.
we ever gave.
Not even Alexander. He had a
Alexander,
gruesome death.
I think, let me have a look. Alexander, you gave him a 10. I
Okay,
gave him
okay,
a 10.
that tracks. That tracks.
You also gave
Yeah.
Sogdianos a 10 with the Ash Room.
Yes, because of course. Because Parisatis?
Yeah, Parasite.
Yeah, yeah.
So how do you think Uthman compares? Do you think it's, is there anything that could have been more impressive about this death? I think it's very high up there.
Yeah.
My thought process is, why not a 10?
Yeah, I'm thinking right now. Because there could have been... I was like, there could have been more detail. But no, we got pretty much... Like, there was plenty of detail.
We got the whole scene
Yeah.
and everything. Yeah, we have it. This is a very important point because this death will echo for a while.
Yeah, I can see why. In both directions. Like, I can see why something so iconic in a way... Iconic is the wrong word. Like, it was so impactful.
Yeah.
Would like then reverberate through time, but also the fact that it reverberated might have also changed how we tell the story. So like it goes both ways, right?
Yeah.
It became more impressive because it was relatively impressive and then people kept adding to it, or it was that impressive and then people kept like referencing it. It sort of feeds off of each other. But yeah, I think it might have to be a 10 right off the
I think I'd go for a 10, which is a very impressive start. But
first ranking of the season.
Yeah, and a 10 out of 10 is very good. But yeah, so I'd say with a 10 and a 10, he gets a 10 out of 10 for final moments.
Yeah.
Our next category is battle hardness. How good was he at war and fighting? Well, he wasn't so much a fighter himself. We're told that he personally ran away from battle. He was forgiven for it by the Prophet, but he did do it. He wasn't.
You said
he
also
didn't lead
that
armies personally.
Yeah, you said he wasn't skilled in military arts or combat.
It wasn't his field, essentially. He just delegated and told other people to do it. So he himself, not terribly impressive, but as for delegation, he finished up the conquest of Iran, so it's during his reign that Yazdegerd III is killed, which is why we're starting with Uthman and not Umar. And took Armenia, he sort of took Cyprus, he built a fleet for the caliphate, he sort of took a bunch of North Africa. He tried to go into Nubia, but was pushed back. But overall, quite good. It's not terribly impressive. I feel like Umar is the impressive military guy because he explodes the empire and destroys the Roman and Sassanid empires.
Yeah. It was definitely like we were walking atop his shoulders.
Definitely. He also, I didn't mention this, defeated a counter-invasion of Egypt by the Romans. So that was pretty good.
This also, talking about like what I thought about this episode, this also slightly confused me of like, we have this religious and political leader, but also we have Uthman, also very important. So we've talked about like 4 people in this episode.
So we've had 2 caliphs. We've had Abu Bakr, Umar, and then Uthman.
Exactly.
Which is our protagonist.
Yes.
So we basically speed ran the first 2 caliphs just to give context, and then there's Uthman.
Which is why I'm confused, but I guess they weren't in the Persian Empire until
No, Uthman. They didn't own Persia.
Yeah. So that's why we needed the context.
Which is why they're going to be extra episodes, but...
I'm so bad with names, and we kept meeting more people, and I'm like...
Yes, there's 2 U names, it's fine.
Yeah.
The next people are going to be different names, so it'll be fine. But,
Yeah.
So battle hardness, I think... it's still the great expansion of the caliphate.
Yeah,
so
I guess
we're still doing well, but...
we have to give... If we don't give it to him, then to who... Who would we?
But he isn't, like an Alexander.
No.
Great. He's not
No.
doing the conquering himself, fighting in the front lines. He is...
But under his rule,
but...
this expansion happened.
Yeah. I'm wondering between a 6 and a 7, honestly, because personally he does very little militarily. And there is some expansion, but it's mostly consolidating what has been given to him by Umar, the second caliph. Guess I'll go for a 6. That's what my guess is. What do you think?
Then I'll go for the 7.
That's fair. You know what?
Yep.
Yeah.
Compromise.
Good stuff. So with a 6 and a 7, he gets a 13 out of 20 for battle hardness. Our next category is scheminess. How good was he at plots and manipulations? Not especially.
I think there's some political intrigue, but I feel like he defined himself as an honest man.
He seemed like an honest,
like that was the whole vibe, right?
Yeah, exactly. And also these are called the Rashidun caliphs, the first 4 Rashidun caliphs, because Rashidun isn't the name of the dynasty; it means rightly guided. So
I see.
These are the good ones, basically.
Great.
So other people will be worse for reasons
we'll
find
that.
out, but
Love
the first
that for
4,
us.
at least in Sunni tradition, they're like, oh no, these are the good ones. These are the ones who knew how to act properly, and then other people messed it up.
Did they? That's so funny because all of the decisions we've been like, not because they were bad decisions, just because they were tough decisions that weren't necessarily right either.
I feel like rightly guided is more like the intention. These are all
personal
friends of the Prophet.
Sort of like how Cyrus was like trying to be a good, merciful man.
Yeah, exactly.
And
They're trying, essentially, is the
people
vibe.
will reference that later and being like, oh, I want to be, merciful and benevolent like this other guy. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And so scheminess, there are two things, one bigger than the other. So the small one is the story with the well, where he buys half the well. I'm actually giving it to my friends for free. And then he rebuys the well. So that's cute.
That's like,
I don't know how big that is.
I don't know if that's super schemy. That's just kind.
The more schemy bit is, did he actually send that letter to execute the rebels or not? Or did somebody send it for him? What do you feel?
If he did, that wasn't super schemy because it got caught. It backfired so bad.
But he tried.
And if he didn't, then he didn't catch whoever forged that. So he got schemed. But,
Sure.
So
I feel like altogether, I think this is for 1 point for me.
Sure.
Because it's something just to recognize there is an air of possibility, but it's nothing too substantial. So are you matching with the 1 or staying on a 0?
I'm matching the 1.
Okay, very good.
There's something there that we can put in this category, I guess.
Yeah, a mini bit. So with a 1 and a 1, he gets a 2 out of 20 for schemes. Our next category is shock factor. How shocking was this man? There are a few issues. Well, depending on how you want to read it, it's kind of shocking. He was one of the first to convert to Islam, and he broke with his family to do this.
Yeah.
That's kind of
actually
shocking.
Yeah, that was pretty shocking.
Then there's the bit where when he becomes caliph, the choice of what to do with the murder of the Persian man, the son of Umar, he follows political expediency more than the letter of the law.
Yeah.
So that's controversial and somewhat shocking that we have that there. There is the shocking issue that he does appoint a lot of his family members as governors. Again, he's doing it for a political purpose, but it's people clearly disagreed. There were problems there.
Great.
And shock factor again, he tries very hard to just keep people happy and together. And I don't know if you want to consider it shocking that despite being besieged, despite being the caliph, he decided, no, I don't want anybody to be killed.
It is.
I know it will be my end, but
it's
not
not commendable. I don't think it's necessarily shocking because that is sort of what he was trying to preach and to bring forth, right?
Yeah.
It would have been shocking if he didn't do that after the sort of how he had put himself forward. I find him a bit shocking, but not necessarily very shocking. I'm thinking maybe a 2.
2. I was going more for a 4 because I'm thinking the converting to Islam, the breaking with his family, the matter of what to do with the murderer, and his general appointment of his family members to important positions.
Yeah, that was the going back.
I think all those are a point each.
Okay.
And I feel like 4 feels right.
I think I'll go with a 3.
Average,
I don't find him.
under.
I don't find him as shocking.
Fair enough. So with a 4 and a 3, he gets a 7 out of 20 for shock factor.
I find him kind, or trying to be,
nice.
a complex human being like most of us. But he's the kind of ruler that I appreciate. Mostly trying to de-escalate and keep things going well, and at least that's the vibe I get from this story. I wasn't there, so.
Sure. Our next category is Aaron Shine. How good was he for the Empire in general and Iran in particular? Here we go back to our old Seleucid counting, because we need to consider that he has an empire and Iran is a small part of it.
Yeah.
Or not a small part of it, a significant part of it, but he is not doing this for Iran. He's doing this for his own empire. So overall, let's look at what he did. So what he did for Iran, quite harsh. He did massacre a bunch of noble families in an effort to conquer it, and he brought down, finally, the Sassanid dynasty. So that's a big change for the people of Iran, and if you're part of the noble families being massacred, not very happy, are you?
Yep.
He is also expropriating... He's not expropriating lands, but he is allowing the sale of lands from the local people to send them over.
Just slightly better than just stealing them.
Yeah, but he's not taking the land directly, and he's sort of giving these people rights and the freedom to go through their own religion, although they need to pay an extra tax. So that's part of it. That's what he's doing with regards to Iran. With regard to the caliphate in general, he is quite important because he's standardizing the Quran. He's making sure that everybody agrees on what it is. He is improving the taxation system and making sure everybody gets land, everybody is well administered, and the economy of the empire is flourishing. So the caliphate is doing well. Again, it is said that both Muslims and non-Muslims flourished during this time. He is creating the first fleet for the caliphate. He's expanding it. He's making it larger and more stable. He is also making sure that he talks with the governors of different areas. He's checking that everybody's okay and everybody's doing fine. And just checking with their opinions, and tries to change things whenever somebody raises any grievances. He says, oh yeah, okay, fair enough, you have a point, let me fix that. Which is a good attitude in a ruler. On the downside, again, he does appoint a lot of family members there. He is causing rifts in the faith. Again, the question is, how much is he causing rifts versus they are being caused because many people are talking about a thing. And it's not been defined what this thing is properly. So he tries to do that, and ultimately he does sort of end the... Again, this isn't his fault, but would the empire have been more stable if he had decided to call in the army and kill all the rebels and then just make himself caliph stably? Would that have been better than being killed and having all the rebels now in, I can't remember if it's Mecca or Medina, but in a center of the empire with a lot of decision-making power? Like, it's a noble act, certainly not wanting to spill blood, but is it an effective act?
Well, that's what the succeeding caliph is going to have to...
Yeah, that's what Ali's going to have to figure out, So how do you feel for Aaron Shine? So assuming 5 is, again, we're keeping the ship steady, and we also want to keep into account the fact that Iran itself is suffering by being conquered. How would you rate this reign? So I have an idea, and I want to see what you think.
Like for the empire, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, a lot has happened. Iran is now part of a bigger empire. Didn't seem like an entirely bad or treacherous start of it. Seemed like things...
Seems quite good, yeah. The problem is just the actual conquest of Iran,
Yeah.
But everything else...
Conquest is never good.
Pretty good. Yeah, exactly. Especially when people are resisting quite
intensely. Unless it's like around kingdoms that are kind of the same, or like in a succession where someone is like, you keep everything the way it is, with just different ruler, but...
Yeah. And that's also kind of what he's doing with the administration. I didn't mention this before, but...
Well, you did mention that he kept a lot of Iranian...
Yeah, a lot of Persian administrators are just staying in their jobs because they know how to do the job well, and they're just there. They just have fewer social privileges because, well, they're not in the ruling class anymore.
Yeah.
So my general vibe is between a 6 and a 7, and I could be swayed either way.
I don't think it's great, but the previous empire was falling apart, and it didn't go over with terrible, like... consequences. It was relatively harmless. Relatively. I think, but it still has to, like, it's a really brand new thing. Like, it's not that
everybody still needs to understand.
It's not like a well-established other empire or well-established kingdom is taking over. So a lot of things are new, which is why a lot of this feels very unstable.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see how it continues. I think 6 or 7 is also where I'm at.
I was looking at recent scores, and Khosrow II got a 7. I feel like Uthman deserves a 6 at this point.
Yeah, because we go down.
Because they both ended their lives in tragedy with dignified honor.
Yeah.
But Khosrow II was doing this for Iran.
Yes.
Uthman was doing it for the caliphate, for the religion, let's say.
Which is why, like, having religion and the political leader be the same is like, well, can you?
It's complicated, yeah.
Like, can't, because sometimes the decisions that will benefit each side are not going to be the same decision. So Yeah.
I mean, it's the sort of thing that we saw in our Ashoka special episode where it's
True.
like, can a good man be king? Or can a king be a good man?
Yep,
and
yep.
it's like, there are certain things you have to do that
There
are not
are
compatible.
certainly
So
kings
you
who
need to
have
figure it
been
out.
better men than others, but all
Yes,
of
you can
them
be
who
better
have
than another,
had
but being
a
good.
successful kingdom, a successful rule, have things that a good man would certainly never do.
Yeah,
But in the end, it benefited like the many, so it is,
Yeah,
it is a trolley problem.
Again, it's a difficult thing, yeah. But yeah, so I think I'm going to go with a 6. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'll join you with that 6. This sells me.
Okay. So with a 6 and a 6, he gets a 12 out of 20 for Aaron Shine. Our next category is Face of Faces. What do you think this man looked like? And we have a description of him, Sarah, by Al-Tabari.
Hooray!
So he tells us that Uthman was of medium height, strong-boned, strong-shouldered, but walked in a bow-legged manner.
Okay.
He had large limbs with fleshy shins and long, hairy forearms. He was very handsome and had a fair complexion, but you could notice that he had some visible smallpox scars when looked at up close. He had a reddish-brown beard in which he added saffron to make it redder.
Cute.
His hair was thick and curly, falling past his ears, but receding a bit in the front. And he also had teeth where he'd had a dental procedure done, where they were bound together with gold wire.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah. And overall, Al-Tabari tells us that it was said that you would not be likely to see a man of more beautiful face.
Damn.
So that's what he looks like. And we won't be getting a contemporary image because there are very few contemporary images, but we will get one from a manuscript that is a 17th century manuscript. So you can see what he's like.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay, so Cyril has finished their drawing. Let me pick it up and I'll describe it to you.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Damn. Okay. Wow. That's incredible. Love it. Good. Yes. Excellent. So
You're welcome.
Cyril did a great job here. Very, very cool. We get color this time. It's a brilliant painting, basically. Yeah.
Ta-da.
So, yes, you've gone all in with the gingerness.
Yes.
Very good. Very cool. He is, yeah, he seems like an older man in this lovely tunic that's holding around. It's quite simple, just around his shoulders. And he's on this sort of bright cream background. And you can see him with a bunch of red hair, red beard, as he was described in the source. And you can see this source of sunlight coming off from his left, giving a real nice dose of light to the painting, which is very good, and I really appreciate it. So thank you, Cyril. It's brilliant. Thank you very much. So yeah, if anybody wants to see this gorgeous portrait, you can go to the episode notes in the description, or you can go to Cyril's Portrait Gallery on our website. So brilliant times. And now, Cyril, I will show you 2 images of Uthman. So as I mentioned, we don't have contemporary images, but I'll show you the one that we have from the Hagia Sophia in Istanbul. And then I will give you one from I think it's an Ottoman manuscript of the 17th century, where you can see him, because we don't have anything contemporary, unfortunately. So let me share my screen.
It's been a long time,
This over here is the calligraphy for the name of Uthman ibn Affan, which is inside the Hagia Sophia.
That's so pretty.
So the calligraphy looks very cool. I could read this very vaguely because of the th, which is very recognizable because it has these 3 dots in a triangle up top, and it's like, oh yeah, that's the one caliph that has a th in his name. So good to know. And then this is the image from a manuscript where it shows the Prophet Muhammad there in the middle with the first 4 caliphs over here, with Uthman being the one here to the right with the white beard because he is, well, he's an old man.
Yeah. I drew him more in his, youth, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. He wasn't old for most of it. So there we are.
Exactly. Plus, they said that he put saffron in his beard to make it more orange. So
yeah, exactly.
What was I supposed to do?
That's quite good. So, if you would like to describe this tiny drawing,
it's so
I don't know
cute.
if it's a miniature, but
I
it's
love
an
that
illumination.
Muhammad just has a sheet over his face, like a veil over his face.
Yeah, he has a flame halo and just a veil in front of his face.
Yeah, this is an old man, just like, kneeling in a beige sort of tunic with a green, like bright emerald green decoration underneath. Yeah, the tunic is like a coat, and then underneath a row of buttons on a emerald green top. I don't know what he has on his side, like on his arm, if that's... I can't tell.
I can't tell. I think it might just be an issue with...
Oh, it might just be a stain or a darker color of yellow.
Yeah, it could be.
But yeah.
Yeah, the quality of the image isn't enough.
He also has a turban, like a white turban on, and a very long white beard. He looks kind of affable. Like, honestly, he's just there.
Incidentally, Cyril, just out of my curiosity, can you tell which of the four men below is Ali? He has one key difference.
Is he the one with the black turban instead of the...
He's the one with the green turban.
Oh, green, yeah, sorry.
Just
dark
like
green.
Muhammad.
Yeah, yep.
Because of reasons we'll find out.
Yep, I am... Yeah, this will be interesting.
Yes. But yeah, so how would you rate this portrait of Uthman, considering it's not contemporary, it's several hundred years later, maybe 1,000 years later, probably.
It is cool. I like that all of them are there, Like, it's not just
It's
him.
quite cute. There's a bunch of family trees, actually. Yeah. This is a whole family tree that you can figure out. But...
I like it. I like the decorations too. So there's all of this, like, writing around it, and it's all in different circles, and they're all linked. Sort of like, family tree style, right? Of like, you're linking
these are all different names of different family people. Of the Prophet.
And then there's vegetation decorations in gold around it. Mm-hmm. It is really cool. Like, it's really pretty.
Yeah. Gold leaves.
But it is not contemporary. No, I'd say like maybe a 7 or an 8. It is nice.
That high? Yeah. Okay.
Maybe not an 8, but a 7. It's cool. Like, it's a communal, it's a portrait of like this story. And this,
See, I agree with that, but I feel like I might be going with a 4 because I'm saying it would be an 8 if it were contemporary, but it isn't, so I'm having it. That's the logic I'm going for.
I see.
But you feel free to.
Yeah, I mean, having it is a lot, because I still like it, but maybe I'll go a bit lower, because it's, that is a good point. But I'll go with a 6. I don't want to go
fair enough.
Than that.
Go for it. So with a 4 and a 6, he gets a 2.5 out of 5 for Face of Faces. Our next category is lengthiness. How long do you think this man reigned? And this is just for how long he controlled all of Persia until the murder.
I see.
It's about half his reign. How long do you think that might be?
Let me think back. Man, I don't know. I feel like he was already an old man when he got elected. So even if he hadn't been murdered, like, it's not that many years that it could be.
No.
5 years?
Very close. 6.
Hey.
From the year 650 to 656, giving him, total of 6 years divided by 10 is 0.6 out of 5 for lengthiness. Which brings us to the final score, which is a grand total of 47.1 out of 100, which places him, exactly as Xerxes I. So the exact same score. Which puts him above Mithridates I, below Antiochus IV. But, an honorable member of the 40s club. So I think the fact that he was so honorable and so respectful kind of did him in there. Yeah. But, also the military prowess where he wasn't him. He was doing a lot, so yeah. But that was him. Which leaves us to one final question, which is to say, is he primary enough? Is he caliphal enough? Is he pious enough to be called a Shahanshah? Or is he just a Shahanah?
Well, he gets the extra points of like the first of a dynasty and a first of a whole like new period.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
You're not convinced? I'm more on the yes side because it's just such a nice... I don't know if it's a nice tragic story, but it's a good tragic story. It
is a story for sure. I think it is relevant. So we have to put him in there. Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Well then, we start up strong by saying, congratulations, Uthman. You are a Shahanshah. You can go into the Paradise Gardens, meet our previous winners. They're already like ranked by category, but you can pop in and say, hello, we're doing something new here.
Yeah.
How are you, fellow kids?
Yeah. How's everyone doing?
So there we go. That is the end of our first episode, or episode 93, Uthman ibn Affan. And we hope you'll join us next time for Ali ibn Abi Talib, which is going to be very exciting because so much drama,
Oof.
Everything is wild, and things are going to happen.
I'm excited.
The Sunni-Shia split is going to happen.
Yeah, you have to tell me
A bunch
about
of
that.
things are going to be relevant. Yes, we'll find out why all these people are so angry. And yeah, fair enough. It'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, if you'd like to support us, there are many ways to do so. We have a merch store if you would like. It's in the description, where you can buy a bunch of posters with Cyril's drawings on them, or
true.
mugs, or other objects, or t-shirts. It's fun. It's good stuff. Otherwise, you can join our Patreon, like our new patrons Vivek Dandekar, Martin Makacek, David Atwood, and Jacob12385, where you will gain access to a bunch of previously existing extra episodes, where we had fun looking at the world around Iran. And you can get access to new extra episodes. At the time of recording, we don't know what it's going to be in January, but the people will be deciding in December what episodes they would like to see. And hey, Abu Bakr, the first caliph, Umar, the second caliph, they're on the board. So if that sounds interesting, you want to know more about them, hey, maybe you should join the Patreon and see how it goes. Alternatively, if you would rather not support us monetarily, that's fine, but we'd appreciate if you could give us a review on your podcast app of choice so you can let us know that you like us, and other people can learn that we exist in general, especially now that we're starting a new leaf to the podcast. It'd be great to say, oh, hey, we're doing something else now, but it's still in the same line, so that'd be exciting. And also, brief aside, if you would like to join us for Intelligent Speech 2026 at the end of February, you can join us at the link in the description and use the promo code RULE, RULE, to get 10% off your tickets.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, that's all.
Amazing.
It's been a long episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Have a lovely week, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.